Right, welcome back. Pretty excited to talk about this video as well. This session over the next 7-8 minutes going to be primarily about Terraform or Pulumi. Now, I assume that you have some bit of knowledge about infrastructure as a code. Already you're writing either CloudFormation, Azure ARM templates, or some sort of tool, right? This video would probably give my 2 cents on which tool does what. And if you're starting a new project and you're still in a very nascent stage to decide which tool you want to select, now this video is going to help you that. So in the market, there are primarily many infrastructure as a code. However, if you had to give top two, in my opinion, Terraform and Pulumi are the top two infrastructure as a code, apart from the cloud native or provider native tools like Azure ARM for Azure, and then Cloud Formation for um, AWS. Now, if you're coming from a non-programming background, first of all, go ahead and get started with Terraform. Now, Terraform is a product by HashiCorp. If you're coming from a non-back programming background, you don't have any idea how loop works. You don't have any idea how a function would work. You can get started on using Terraform. It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to get started. If I bring up my terminal, it's as easy as writing Terraform and start using the underlying commands. All right. So if you're coming from a system engineering background, networking background, you don't have much knowledge about uh, programming background like C++, Node, or Python, Java, Kotlin, go ahead and you start using Terraform. It's pretty easy to get started. The best thing about it is it's cloud agnostic. So you learn for each cloud provider. You could do it for any cloud provider. How I got started was I did it for Azure, and I did it practiced so much that I could do it in a few minutes for any of the cloud provider. I could do it. I could write Terraform code for AWS also, because I spent so much time writing AWS Azure code, that it was pretty easy to get started. All right. And plus, you have community support. You have huge community support. Now, if you go to Google and start writing Terraform, Azure, example, GitHub, you're gonna get plethora of examples. You're gonna get all sort of examples. If you go to the over here, you see all of the examples. Any resource you want to select, you select Databricks, you have it. You select container instance, you have it. You select Azure monitoring, you have it. You select Cosmos DB, you have it. If you go to the Kubernetes, you would get all types of code, pre-built code already available. You go to the monitoring log analytics, you would have your main file. Start copying these code, understand what these interpolation means. Interpolation doesn't exist anymore. This would primarily be pretty handy when you want to get started. You don't want to start writing everything from scratch, and then you would understand that how easy it is to, and then you can switch on to different cloud provider as well. So again, in a nutshell, if you're non-programmer, system engineer, or a network engineer, or a fresher who doesn't have any idea about any programming language, go ahead and learn Terraform. It's free and open source, so you don't have to pay anything. You have a paid version of Terraform as well, but trust me, majority of the enterprise customers are actually leveraging Terraform CLI, which is the free and open source, to build up their infrastructure. So and the biggest benefit of using Terraform is you get huge provider list. All right, so you get if once you've learned Terraform, you could do it for any of the cloud provider, as you can see in front of you. You could do it for non-cloud provider as well. You could do it for GitHub also. You could do it for you could do it for Palo Alto as well. If you start typing Terraform registry, I could just show you what type of services or what type of provider is supported by Terraform. So if you look at over here, you could start searching for registry. If you click on over here, you could browse all the registries providers. So not only you see Azure over here, Google Cloud Platform over here, AWS over here. You see bunch of other options. You see Helm, you see Oracle, you see TLS, you could see VMware as well, and non-cloud provider as well, like companies like Artifactory, companies like Atlassian, companies like Elasticsearch, all of the Datadog, all of the providers, majority of the CodeFresh, you name it, and majority of the providers are actually listed over here. So this was about Terraform. Now there's one more tool which has been recently launched in the market, and this was founded by I believe one of the employees from Microsoft. Their proponent is their key line is the developer first infrastructure as a code. What does that mean? On the other hand, Terraform promotes DSL, desired state language, which means if you're a non-programmer or if you're a programmer, you could use Terraform. However, Pulumi says that if you're a developer and rather not a system engineer or network engineer or those user of DSL, you should use Pulumi, because Pulumi says you should write infrastructure as a code in the same way as you write your application code. You can write it in Python, JavaScript, C++, or Golang. If you look at the docs, you would see that it also provides majority of the supports majority of the cloud provider. And if you were to write for Google Cloud, click on the Google Cloud, and if you begin the project, you would see that you get example for all of the programming language: JavaScript, Python, Go, C++. How does a sample project look like? So if you click on the new project, review the project, you would see a simple code which creates an S3 bucket, right? An S3 bucket or a bucket in Google provider. What you do is you import the library Pulumi first, and from Pulumi you import the storage and you define this particular variable over here. You use the storage library and you call dot bucket and give the name of the bucket, and you start exporting it, and then you could deploy this stack using Pulumi up, or and then it asks whether you want to apply or not. So it's pretty same as you can see it in Terraform. Also it asks whether you want to apply or not. Over here it gives you a tree structure, that what are resources it's going to create and what are the bucket name it has, and you can do a Pulumi stack, and that's going to give you similar fashion what our Terraform would do. So you could not only do, again getting back to the docs again, you could do it, write your code into any of the languages, be it be it JavaScript, be it Golang, be it Python, any of the languages. So the proponent is you don't have to use a desired state language. You could use any of these scripting or any of the full-blown programming language to create your resources onto Pulumi or any of the cloud provider. Fundamentally, it's same. It is same. It is in the backend. It also creates a state file. In backend, it also saves or version your state file, and then it calls the API for the cloud provider to start writing. But if you are a programmer and you would like to write infrastructure code in the same language which you have been writing your application code, suppose you're a Python developer or a C++ developer, you're pretty comfortable with C++, right? Then you could use the same fundamental knowledge and define the classes and method which you want to use to create a bucket. That was just an example. So in a nutshell, if you are a non-programmer, go ahead and use Terraform because it's easy to use. You can champion it within a few couple of hours. If you are a programmer and don't want to lose your programming knowledge, or you want to leverage your programming knowledge to create the infrastructure also, go ahead and use Pulumi for that. Both are open sourced, both has their own open source version, both are has their paid version as well, but the open source one does majority of the job for us. All right, I hope this was informative. This would primarily help you to decide which infrastructure as a code you should select to write your infrastructure for your infrastructure, be it Azure, AWS, or GCP, or could be anything. All right, I'll see you in a while. Thank you.